started, I think maybe 2 or 3 days ago, so quite recently, and I'm just watching it. So I'm trying to set this up so that you can sort of see me a little bit, see me in between clips, get that sort of connection with myself going again, because we haven't obviously spoken to each other face to face since the Q&A. So it's been a while since you've seen my pretty face, and obviously this lower power footage needs some voiceover, not just some tinny music. So what I wanted to discuss today, obviously, I always put some form of topic in front of the video, in front of what I'm actually training. So today I wanted to discuss the phrase, which I'm not sure if anyone else has come up with prior to myself using it, but it's something that I came up with my client Jack, and we were having a chat on Skype, and we were talking about his training and how it was going and how he was structuring it, and there was a few things that I wanted to change. Mostly, it was a bit confusing as to how he was putting together a session inside the gym. So he'd go in, he'd maybe start with something that I thought would be quite a good accessory movement, which would confuse me a little bit, obviously, because I kind of wanted him to progress in a certain compound movement prior to going on to his accessories. So we came up with a word for his chosen compound or chosen first exercise, which he was really going to focus on, and we came up with the word improvement movement. Now it's got a nice ring to it, obviously, and it makes it sound a little bit more exciting than maybe it is, but the reason behind it is that now he knows, now he can go away, and we work together on his training program purely because he's already got a good idea of what he likes and dislikes, and I'm there to say, you know what, Jack, that's not good, or you know what, Jack, that's a great idea. So we went ahead and we chose his improvement movements. So obviously you guys probably want to know why I choose these movements, and really why should a movement stay the same in a program, and how long should you keep that movement the same and aim to progress in that particular chosen movement. So let's take what I'm doing here. Let's take a back squat. So I'm currently back squatting at least twice a week. Well, yeah, it's twice a week. One rep range is, well, it's not even a rep range, it's a set rep scheme, and sets, they're the same, they don't change. So I'm aiming in this improvement movement, I'm aiming to progress in load. I want to get stronger over time, and I'm going to do that by chasing weight, not so much sets or reps, but weight in this particular chosen movement. So it can be a movement, for example, that you particularly enjoy. Usually, if I'm going to choose an improvement movement, it will be a compound. So it will be a deadlift, a squat, a bench press, overhead press. It will be something along those lines. Purely because the amount of muscles that you are using in order to produce movement and to do this movement is far greater than something you'd maybe choose as an accessory. So for example, after this, I think I moved on to an RDL. That's a fair shout for an improvement movement. But for example, you wouldn't want to maybe do a lying hamstring curl as something you want to chase in terms of weight or reps or sets. So over time, what you should be able to do is obviously track progression in this certain movement alongside your other movements, but really chase this certain movement, and see how that goes, and sort of maybe start with something that you really would like to improve. So for example, you really want to up your deadlift. So a client comes to me and they say, AJ, you know what, or they put on their questionnaire, AJ, I really want to improve my deadlift. I want to get my deadlift to a certain number. Okay, it's currently at 120 kilos and I want to increase it to 160. Okay, that's fine. What we're going to do that is deadlift more often. So maybe instead of deadlifting twice a week, we'll deadlift 3 times a week. Different reps, different sets, and really sort of get you in the gym deadlifting as often as possible, so you're getting used to the movement. So when it comes to the heavier sets, or the sets that mean more in terms of, like, if you're doing an AMRAP, or sometimes I call it a test set, I usually get clients to sort of test their strength at the start of a block and usually at the end, unless they're sort of educated enough to know when they're feeling good and know when they can go all out and go for a sort of AMRAP or test set. So that to me explains improvement movements on a whole. If you have any more questions about how you can choose yours, or what movements should you avoid, or is there any sort of any weird boundaries on it? There isn't, so to speak, but as long as you stick to something, that's my top tip. Just stick to a certain program. Don't go program hopping. Don't bring out the magazines, Men's Health and stuff like that, and then just change program because there's something new and interesting going on in Men's Health or Flex magazine. Okay, so stick to what you know. If you know that your certain program is doing you favors and it's working, then by all means just stick to that and don't change it. Wow, it just got a hell of a lot brighter in here. Anyway, moving on. Let's have a look at what we're doing in the footage. So in the footage now, obviously I'm front squatting. How long have I been front squatting? Good question. About 2 weeks, maybe 3. Literally, like, I haven't front squatted before in the past. I remember when I was a lot younger, I think when I was about 17 or something like that, I think I did front squat pretty poorly. Usually on a Smith machine with one of the, obviously the pads to protect you from the horrible bar that can hurt you. So that's what I did in the past. But now I'm loving just a regular front squat. Really feels good. I really feel that I can sit back onto my heel and drive with a lot of very quad dominant. But I also feel quite a lot of activation in an area that I do want to grow, and that is my glutes. So it's a win for me. You can see obviously I'm getting sort of sitting back into it quite far, definitely getting depth, and this is with 82.5 kilos for sets of 9. That's pretty good considering when I started I was with 80 kilos for sets of 4. So that's a good topic actually. That's something that you will very often see, is that when you start with a certain movement and you do it often, you'll probably get hella strong in that movement quite quick, and that's something quite cool. So for if you're absolutely screwed after those sets of back back squat and then front squat, I was just ruined. Anyway, so yeah, if you add in a movement and you stick to it and your form's good from the get go, you'll probably get pretty damn strong in it pretty quick. Tends to be, if someone's demotivated to train a body part, that's a sort of technique that I'll use with people is if they're really demotivated to train something. So for example, they want to grow their legs. They're so demotivated to go into the gym and train them. What I'd probably end up doing is changing a few things around in their training. Maybe adding in a new movement like a front squat, so that they can just chase progression really quick, and that enables them to get motivated again to continue sort of training that body part. So up next were RDLs. Now the difference, in my opinion, between an RDL and the straight leg deadlift is primarily the pause at the bottom and the way that you keep your legs as far back as possible. I mean, I used to not have a pause whatsoever, and I used to not even touch the floor. That to me would be a straight leg deadlift. An RDL is Romanian deadlift, and it's I believe pulling from the floor with a pause and keeping your legs as far back as possible. Something I have experienced with not so much RDLs, touch wood, but a lot of the time it has been straight leg deadlifts has given me quite a lot of aggravation in my knees, purely because I'm trying to drive my legs backwards, and by doing that I'm sort of pushing my knees to a point where they can't go back any further. So I changed to RDLs purely because I can utilise a little bit more hip drive to and also use my glutes to move the load. So if you notice, when I pause at the bottom, I try and take a good little breath of air before bringing it back up again, essentially bracing for the movement. That's something that I never ever did when I was first getting into training, and it's something that I wish I had known, because I probably would have been a lot stronger if I'd known about bracing. It's allowing you to keep your core engaged, and when you engage your core, you're allowing yourself to maintain a neutral spine. And if you maintain a neutral spine, you're pretty much, you're guaranteed to stay in a stronger position than you would if your spine goes into flexion. And flexion is obviously your spine going from neutral to flexed. So, moving on to pretty much my only accessory movement besides calves, and that was the line hamstring curl. Obviously you can see that I am making some good progress with the glutes, so I'm pretty happy with that. And also my calves as well. My mum actually mentioned the other day that my calves looked a lot bigger. Maybe that's because I've been giving myself some more food, but I think all I've been doing is just progressing in the 10 to 15 rep range with this movement, and I think I've got some pretty good progress. So coming to the end of the footage now, guys, so thanks very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow me on Instagram, Snapchat and Facebook. Thanks guys, see you later.